Secretary General of the Naga People Movement for Human Rights, Ningulo Krome, while speaking at the Government of the People's Republic of Nagaland NSCNM 44th Republic Day celebrations on March 21st, said that today was the day to reflect on our wrongs. Speaking on the Naga struggle, he said that the Naga movement has surpassed 3 generations. He further appealed and questioned the public and asked, don't they deserve our respect? Let's have a look.
Occasion to observe and celebrate our 44th Republic Day. It is also a moment for us to reflect and to think where we have gone wrong and what we should do right. Looking at the history of the Naga people struggle, it has been just going through my mind that the Naga struggle, the history for our fight for freedom, has now surpassed exactly 3 generations of Nagas. First generation of Nagas laid the foundation of our freedom and our humanhood. They also brought glory and honor and also sacrifice to the maximum. And these sacrifices are not just the Naga army, but the entire Naga population and Naga villagers, farmers, women, children. The second generation of Nagas saw divisions, killings, hatreds among Nagas, quarreling among Nagas, in the midst of different interests and divisions. The third generation of Nagas today, and I think that chapter of the third generation of Nagas is at its end. I think this 44th celebration perhaps could be a closing chapter of the third generation of Nagas. But this third generation of Nagas, unlike others, saw a generation of peace under a ceasefire, second ceasefire agreement with the government of India. But this third leadership of the Naga generation also brought the government of India, so-called the world's biggest democracy, on its knees to seek peace and to talk peace with Naga leaders. And in all these 3 generations of Nagas, God blessed our people with leaders at this point of our history. And leaders of these 3 generations, some of them are still in our midst. For instance, the Attokilenser. People like Isaac, Chairman, Coley, or starting from Pizzo, T. Sacre, and all, perhaps they left us much earlier in our needs. But these leaders who commanded respect from the entire Naga population, many of them are still with us, should we not salute them, especially today's generation of Nagas. Instead of talking big things and criticizing every Tom, Dick, and Harry, don't they deserve our respect? People like General Atem, Reverend Puni, and many others who are sitting down here are part of these 3 generations of the Naga struggle. Rising, many others. Many may be not with us in this room. Many may be in different camps across different Naga areas, Naga homelands, in different camps, maybe even peace camps. But in the best of the days, They walked across jungles, rivers, enemies, to China to bring arms to protect our land, to the East Pakistan, present Bangladesh, and elsewhere, much beyond. Don't they deserve our respect? Or are we still to criticize them only? 3 generations have passed. It is said in this 3 generations of our political history. I don't know how accurate it is, but elders, they say that more than 300,000 Nagas have died because of the Indo-Naga conflict. Not necessarily because of from bullets, and those people who died are not necessarily only Naga army, but different Naga people. So they deserve to be respected and honored. This has been went through my mind.
Continuing his address, he lauded the present leadership for making the Naga issue open in the international level. He further informed that the Naga People's Movement for Human Rights has been banned by the Government of India from going abroad since 2019, and that such a ban was a blessing in disguise, as now the MHR was focused on India itself. He further spoke about how proud he felt when he was given an opportunity to share about the Naga story in Gujarat, where about 15 lakh people were present. He then said that the framework agreement signed in 2015 was a win-win situation for both the Government of India and NSCN, and further appealed to all the Indian leaders to persuade PM Modi to stay true to the commitments made by him over the Indo-Naga issue.
But during this 3rd generation struggle, this present leadership, in the guise of the National Socialist Council of Nagaland, Isaac Amaiva, not only brought India on its knees, but internationalized the Naga history by beginning the negotiation at the highest level, at the Prime Minister level, in the 3rd and foreign countries, and without any condition. What more achievement do we ask for? Don't they deserve our respect? Or we still try to condemn them because of some unruly behavior of some cadres or some members of the Naga society, not only the national workers? Don't they deserve our respect? And side by side, as the NSCN negotiated with the Government of India, of course, Naga civil society played its role, starting from Naga Hoho down to the students and mothers, to bring reconciliation among the Naga people, the warring Nagas, and a lot have been achieved. And we thank leaders of the civil society who did this to our family, who have stopped the killing, who have made Nagas start talking to each other. Side by side, those of us who are in the human rights movement, even before pre-ceasefire, after ceasefire, we also tried to do our part of our responsibility. But after ceasefire came, starting from 1998 till 2019, we went and propagated our cause, shared the Naga story at the United Nations, in different forums of the United Nations, in Geneva, in New York, to different countries, different parts of the world, and we were able to share our stories sufficiently. We did not participate in this United Nations as mere delegates. We went and participated in these meetings, even as speakers, as resource persons, to showcase Naga issue as an example of struggling people across the world. And Nagas are remembered and respected everywhere. Those who have heard the Naga story. These are things which were not possible without God's guidance and the prayer support of the people in the villages, in the grassroots. Not people who talk big. Unfortunately, after 2019, Government of India banned us, the MP measure, from going out of India. Many of you may be aware. This was followed by the pandemic issue, and the entire world was blacked out for almost 2 years. But when human movement became possible again, the stopping of our human rights organization from traveling out of India came as a blessing in disguise. We then shifted our attention to the people in India. And over the last 2 years, we traveled across the length and breadth of India, from south to north, east to west, including heartland India. Today we have found a new friendship in the form of the Indian population, particularly the tribals, Adivasis, Dalits, struggling people across India. These people, whose population and numbers we cannot count, have pledged their support to the Naga people. And government of India is really unhappy. And you know what they are trying to do now, all over India? Arresting activists, human rights leaders, academicians, lawyers who propagate the cause of the struggling people. In such an occasion, we were also able to visit different parts of Indian gatherings to share our stories and to tell what government of India did to us. And we also learned that government of India did equally bad things, or even worse, to their own people whom they have subjugated after India got independence. The last of such an occasion was in the month of January this year, where there was a 3 days occasion of people all over India gathering in Gujarat. And the organizers says that 15 lakh people were there. And Nagas were asked to come and share our stories. 15 lakh people heard the Naga story. It's not believable. Entire Nagaland population is only 19 lakh. And to say 15 lakh people came to hear the Naga story, you will not believe it. But for once in my lifetime, I understood how human stampede kills hundreds and thousands of people. On that day, we would have been killed if there was a small panic, and I understood how hundreds and thousands of people were killed in religious gatherings. So friends, Nagas, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard what the chairman said in his presidential speech. It is not surprising that India will take glory when things are good, but India will always betray when things are in their advantage. The framework agreement, which was signed in 2015, is a win-win agreement between the Naga people and the government of India. It's a win-win agreement. And if India cannot take it, it is their own loss. If India goes back on this framework agreement, it will be another victory for the Naga people. It's okay. God's given right will be protected through and through. So it is for the government of India to decide whether they will live up to their commitment or not. But this is what we have been propagating all over India to different people of India, not only civil society, but including parliament members, ministers, who are willing to listen to our stories. And we ask only one favor from these Indian people, leaders. Make your Prime Minister of Mr. Narendra Modi honor his own commitment. And even if it is for courtesy's sake, you have started the negotiation at the highest level, at the Prime Minister level. So if you want to conclude the Indo-Naga peace negotiation, you have no other choice but to meet our Prime Minister. Shake hand even, and maybe honor the framework agreement. As the Chairman said, the ball is in the court of the government of India. To my fellow Naga brothers and sisters, who may not be necessarily members of the NSCN or members of the Naga Army, the time for sweet talk is over. The time to talk brave things are over. The time to act is at hand. So let us all remind ourselves when we're all boys and girls, students in schools, when we're Boy Scout and Girl Guides, there's a motto that says, be prepared.